So welcome, everyone, to this actual play, I think this is what these are called, of 5 Acts The King in Yellow RPG. I'm your host and your pal, Dr. Bowers, from the YouTube channel PhD&D, and I'm also the creative director on the game. And I'm very fortunate, humbled even, to be joined by our fellow players. I'm going to pass it off to Franklin, who is Franklin Luca, who's hosting this on Twitch. Thank you very much for doing so. Franklin, why don't you introduce yourself and then pass it off to someone else?
Hello, I am Franklin, also known as Space Osric on Twitch. I haven't streamed in a while, but I don't know, maybe that'll be changing soon. Yeah, I do streams on Twitch. Some people might know me if they're tuning in. I'll pass it.
Who are you playing as this evening?
I am the Grave Worm.
Does your Grave Worm character have a name? Or should we call him Franklin?
Let's call him Francis.
Francis. I'll take a note. And who would you like to pass it off to?
I'll pass it off to Nate.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Nate Morton. Check me out on TikTok at D&D Basics. New channel. I'll be posting for the first time in the next day. And I'm playing the Paladin Mask tonight. His name's Victor.
Oh, awesome. Victor, the Paladin Mask, and thanks very much. It was D&D Basics at TikTok, right? And
Yep,
pass it off to
D&D Basics on TikTok, D&D.basics if you're searching for me.
Cool. I'll go ahead and call on Wanda. Why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Wanda. Pronouns are she, her, and I will be playing today. I will be playing today the Repairer of Reputation. Her name is Kaylee, but please spell it with a Kayliegh. Eigh.
It's awesome.
Iegh. It's one of those names. Yes.
Excellent.
I am an actor and an artist based in Chicago, and I forget my usernames on TikTok and Instagram, so I will just post it somewhere later.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. And last but certainly not least is Reagan here. Go ahead and tell us about yourself. Real fast.
My name is Reagan. Today I'm going to be playing the organist. We'll go as Ronnie. And I'm just a game enthusiast along for the ride today.
Thank you very much. So, let's get into this game, shall we? You had always been interested in, nay, obsessed with, art school. The prospect of going to an illustrious academy and learning how it is that beauty is manifested in the material world, the way to make that happen, the way in which throughout history it's been refined and wandered off of its path and refound its purpose, all of this excited you. It was therefore a little bit of disappointment that after being accepted to the New Julian School of Design in New York, that you discovered art school is a lot of studying and homework, kind of boring. So your life as an art student for a couple of semesters was very boring. That is, until you read that stage play, that ponderous, beautiful, achingly beautiful stage play, The King in Yellow. And ever since you read that, your world has been turned upside down. You've learned some fantastic things from reading this. For one thing, you're no ordinary person. You're royalty from a faraway star, far from Earth. And you are endowed with powers, powers which you've just now begun to master. And you know that your life is burdened with a terrible purpose. Nobody else believes you, of course. They wouldn't, why would they? But that doesn't stop you from your ambitions, newly found. So it is in this context, at the New Julian School of Design in New York, that we begin our story. You suddenly find yourself jostled and tussled and moved about in a huge, surging crowd. It must be the beginning of the semester. You're inside that store, that marketplace shop. It's on a street in New York where every New Julian school student goes for their art supplies, right? All the students arrive, time to buy your art supplies, the beginning of the semester. Too many bodies crammed into too little of a space. You can scarcely breathe. Bodies are surging around you, squeezing you like a constrictor snake. And everyone is crowded around a counter, a sales counter, where there looms an impossibly huge man. He reminds you of Lurch from the old black and white series, The Addams Family. He's bending over and addressing people one by one, all too slow. You can barely breathe, scarcely breathe. Indeed, you're suffocating. What do you do to try to regain your breath, gain some space, something? I'm going to turn to Francis.
Well, I'm not sure. What can I do?
Well, as the grave worm, you have the power to make a cat-sized clump of matter decay and rot away with a touch. And of course, you can do what any desperate human being would do when they are crowded and squeezed for breath in a surging multitude of people. I know myself, I hate crowds, and if I'm in the middle of one, I start to feel antsy and could do anything. But what do you do?
Let's see. So I can make a cat-sized thing decay.
Yep. Whether a cat-sized portion of a wall or even a person or something else, I don't know. It's up to you.
So I'm standing among a crowd of other people.
Yeah, all around you are shelves of art supplies and canvases and overpriced brushes and bottles of paint. And a little ways away, you notice, in fact, there are 3 other art students that you recognize. You haven't really met them before, but you've seen them around campus at the New Julian Academy. And it strikes you that you recognize them from real life. Unlike everyone else around here, their faces are kind of a blur.
Okay. Well, I guess I will start by approaching the people I recognize, and I will since I am a grave worm, I have a very, dour, deathly expression. And I just kind of like
You try to make your way over to one companion, but the surging crowd obstructs you. What do you do to get them out of the way?
Let's see. I can make a cat-sized thing decay. Maybe I can so like I'll tap the shoulders of like the people by me and try to like just make them have like really bad like aches in their shoulders so that they're like kind of like less inclined to be where I want to be going through, so I can like easily like, you know, kind of kind of move them away like to get through the crowd.
It's like pushing your way to the stage with a cattle prod.
Mhm.
Why don't you go ahead and roll 3d10 and take the highest number?
Okay. All right, rolling 3d10. I got a 10.
Success. Well, you with the power that you've just discovered you had, you cause blisters and bloody bruises to contuge and emerge on the shoulders of nearby art students. They wail in pain and fall to the floor out of the way so that you can get closer to one of your fellow students. Go ahead and roll a d4. Let's see how effectively you progress this situation.
I didn't mean to do that much damage, but okay. I got a 3.
Okay. Excellent. I'm going to pass things on to Kaylee, spelled E-I-G-H at the end, with an A-Y after the K. There's an art student you... Oh, there's an art student you recognize. He's always had a kind of disturbing pallor to his face. You've sometimes wondered, is this some kind of goth kid or something? But he's pushing his way through the crowd towards you. You can barely breathe, but here comes this fellow student. You swear you recognize him from school, and he's causing art students to fall to the ground with a touch. You can barely breathe, however. What are you doing?
I am turning on my Instagram Live and go to my followers. I have a lot. I'm an influencer, by the way. It's called Kaylee Cannoli. And yeah, I do dance, mostly Danceagram, but also I just have a lot of fans, like, you know, nearing 70K. So I say, oh my gosh, y'all. It's so crazy in here at the best of the best New Jillian School of Design. How could this be? Oh my gosh, I thought for an elite school like this, they would manage the crowd even better than this. I don't know where I'm at right now. I can't believe it. I see all my followers tuning in. Yeah, at least 500, 600. Oh wow, we're nearing 1,000. And then I'm going to start my dance move. And I know some of my followers are in the school. So I'm going to see if followers will pave a way for me so that I can just chasse away. I'm a dance student, by the way.
Yes.
Chasse through the people catwalk.
Excellent, excellent. You are an influencer, and not in the way that some people say when they talk about their activities on social media. You're a deep influencer. Your power from beyond the stars is to influence.
You can say deepfluencer, it's
okay. Let's see how efficacious your influence is.
Yes.
With a roll of 3d10. By the way, do you know the word influenza is etymologically connected to astrology? The idea that getting sick is from the stars.
You all, I rolled an 8, 8, and 9. I am rocking this.
Yeah.
Everybody get out of my way.
Indeed, you do your famous part the crowd dance, right? And sure enough, a few dozen admirers surge forth from the crowd, just enough to, as Moses parts the Red Sea, part this crowd of art students who are surging and, well, crowding you. Go ahead and roll a d4 to see how this advances the situation.
Okay. D4, here we go. 6.
All right. Wait, a d4?
Oh, shit. Sorry, I rolled a d6.
A 6 on a d4 is definitely miraculous, but I didn't know our game was that eldritch.
I can screenshot this. I'm rolling really well today. Knock on wood.
I would only request a screenshot if it were a 6. But no, that were excellent. So the crowd somehow manages to diminish and wane in the wake of your social media inspired influence. there's now a clear path between you and this other moribund student who is causing others to fall with a touch. But before you have a chance to interact, there is, of course, another student here, too. We're going to turn to Ronnie, the who is, again, like your compatriots. You've just seen a pair of students. You recognize them. One of them is very pale and moribund looking, and the other is very eccentric looking and filming herself and live casting, and they've managed to push an opening in the crowd where it looks like they're trying to talk to each other. You recognize them, you don't recognize anyone else, and you can't breathe. What are you doing?
I would say as an organist, I definitely prefer my space. And I'm not gonna go towards this crowd where, especially we have the live stream going on. That's just too much. I am able to teleport up to 10 feet away. So
Yeah.
I'd say if I find a corner that's more empty, I would teleport there to kind of gather myself and watch the scene that is happening in this crowd.
I regret to inform you that the only space unoccupied by human bodies or humanoid bodies is the counter over which bends the colossal store clerk. Would you like to disappear and reemerge standing atop the counter?
Yes.
It is free of the crowd. Okay.
Yes.
Let's roll 3d10. Take the highest number and see where you end up.
10.
Okay. All right. So, roll a d4.
1.
Okay. So, you, with very careful focus, concentration, and remembrance on your particular destiny, you disappear from the crowd. You reemerge, standing atop the counter, the sales counter. Why not? You deserve to be above these other people anyway. And you are nearly eye level with the hulking shopkeep who is selling overpriced brushes and tubes of paint to people. My goodness, this man must be 8 feet tall. It's a little disturbing how his massive hands could clutch, a tiny tube of paint as though it were like the size of a toy. From here, you can see that the two other students who were watching are nearly close together, balloons, and now we turn to one other art student, the last one, who also cannot breathe. Let's turn to Victor, the pallid mask.
All right. So are there like shelves of like supplies and whatnot on it?
Absolutely.
Nearby?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go up to one and pick like a canvas or something that's on a top shelf.
Yeah.
And use my ability to petrify it, and hopefully, since it's heavier than it's supposed to be, collapse the shelving and cause a distraction, so I can work my way to the front.
That's amazing. Yes. Those meager aluminum hooks which suspend from corkboard, they were not designed for a 500-pound stone sculpture of a canvas. Just regular canvas. Go ahead and roll 3d10 and see how this goes. I think it sounds like a good plan.
A 2, and a 5.
Oh. So you reach up, and I shouldn't say reach, you leap up and attempt to touch the lowermost hanging canvas of the uppermost shelves. Unfortunately, you don't quite touch it, and instead, you land on the ground and start to petrify a part of your own body. Go ahead and roll a d4 to see how bad this is.
1.
Okay, so go ahead and give yourself one point of strain. And once you do, keep track of this. Once you do, roll a d12. As long as you don't roll a 1, you're fine. Did you
I
roll a
rolled a
1?
1.
Okay. Go ahead and erase your 1 strain. You've used your eldritch powers on yourself, and the result is not good. You have acquired a subtle monstrous feature. In some way, you are subtly monstrous. People wouldn't notice if they just casually glanced at you, but if they were scrutinizing you, maybe they would. What is your subtle monstrous feature?
The
Could be a
the part I petrified was my hand.
okay.
But it didn't petrify quite right, and it's kind of deformed.
Okay.
Like one of the fingers is extra long and another one's extra short.
Okay. You have an oddly shaped hand, perhaps endowed with a grayish pallor to reflect that it's only partially petrified or something. Maybe it's flaky. I don't know. But that's cool. You've got a subtle monstrous feature, and this horrible nightmare of a situation continues. You're surrounded by a surging crowd. Just at this moment, all of the art students turn toward you, and you see their faces for the first time. Before they were a blur. You saw coats and cloaks and hats and school uniforms, things that you would otherwise, sort of, say, yeah, I see them. But when you look at their faces, they're bestial, piggish, houndish, muzzled, furred, fanged, horribly different from what you would expect. And they open their mouths, and you hear not a shriek, not an oink, not a howl, but the roar of fire, the crackle of fire. The burning of fire is what you hear from each of these monstrous maws. And I turn back to Francis the Grave Worm and ask, what are you doing now?
Other than recoiling in horror?
Yeah.
Well,
Let me add a detail. The looming shopkeep has begun to grab various art students, hold them up high in the air by the head. He just grabs them by the head and holds them up high, and then smashes their heads down on the counter, dashing them like eggs that shed blood. Could be that he's going to grab you soon. Anyway,
well,
back
I
to you.
kind of want to get out of here then. I don't want to get my head smashed.
You've barely managed to clear a space in the crowd to go and talk to one art student. Will you clear another space to get to the door, or what are you up to?
Yeah, I kind of don't want to be here now that everybody's got animal heads and the shopkeep guy is smashing people's heads. So yeah, I'm gonna do what I did previously to try to clear a path and yeah, try to make my way to the exit.
Yeah. Never mind this other art student I think I recognize. I gotta get out of here. Yeah, fair enough.
I
Roll
can make
3d10s.
friends later.
Take that right. Yeah.
Let's see. I got a 4.
Oh no. You are unable to fell further. Once they've turned their bestial faces towards you, it's not so easy to just touch them and cause them some blistery damage and make them fall to the ground. You're scared. Your hands tremble and shake. Roll a d4 to see what happens.
Okie dokie. Ah. D4s are so hard to pick up. I got a
hate
3.
how hard. Okay. Okay. So mark 3 stress on your character sheet and roll a d12. As long as the d12 roll is 4 or above, you're fine.
Okay. So 3 strain on the character sheet.
Yeah.
All right, and then a d12. I got a 2.
Okay. Oh. I'm so sorry. Go ahead and erase your strain in that case.
Okay.
And it seems as though in your effort to expend your necromantic power, something has happened to you instead. Perhaps you're a little more ghastly or grisly or something else. Perhaps you've taken on an aspect of this very scene and its, art supply store-ishness. You tell me. You have a subtle monstrous feature. What is it?
Um my skin is just like kind of turning like kind of deadish colored, like it's like a rotting corpse color.
Okay.
Um, just kind of like that,
Like a
like yeah, just like that, like kind of grossish, like yellowish gray color.
yeah, I know the color. A gross yellowish gray,
Mhm.
thematically appropriate. From a distance, nobody would see anything amiss with you, but yeah, up close, you look a little more cadaverous than usual, and that's saying something. Before, you look like someone who's really hardcore into Bauhaus and Sisters of Mercy. Now it's like there's something wrong with you, at least in a subtle way. On to Kaylee. Leigh, after a Ka. The other art student you recognized, you've just cleared a path to them, and now they're headed out the door. Meanwhile, you've seen some horrible things, all of the bestial faces of these art students, and then an outright murder occurring as a shopkeep grabbed one and dashed his head against the counter. What are you up to now?
I look at the chat log, at chat that pops up. Do my viewers see the same things as I do?
Oh, of course. In
How
fact,
are they
I think
reacting?
um I would say they would say, "Wow, that is epic!" Exclamation point! Exclamation point! 111! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Um,
Um,
you of
okay.
course are, in a certain way, a master of your followers. Perhaps they say what you want them to say. You could feel free to fill in. Um, but it looks like they say,
This
"Wow,
is
that was totally epic."
that is epic, and I don't want to be the next victim. What is happening to do the victims include my fans who were paving my way?
None of the people in your feed are present in location with you. Instead, it's just other, uh, I want to say art students, but you can't recall seeing any art students with like pig heads or anything, but they otherwise look like your fellow art students. But not, the answer to your question is
Mm,
no. So far, none of your followers seem to be here.
Okay, well, this is quality content. So what I'm going to do is try to hide into a place where I can continue filming.
Okay.
And my way of hiding is, I'm sure there's like a lot of big art tools too, like easels and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So if
Yeah.
there's a little corner that seems to be like that, I'm not just going to go the regular way. I'm a dance student, so I'm going to modern dance it, act like one of those monsters, pretend that I'm
Yeah.
one of those monsters, and then dance my way into a corner and hide.
Excellent. Excellent. Recalling your rehearsal for Stravinsky's Rite of Spring ballet,
Mhm.
you make your way to one corner, and let's roll 2d10s and take the higher and see how well this goes.
Okay, shit. I ordered I rolled a 2 and a 10.
Okay, well, that is a 10. So, you managed to hide in a corner in a way where you are safe both from the apparent violent predations of the shopkeep and the disturbing presence of these bestial art students. Go ahead and roll a d4 to see how this advances the situation.
2.
All right. It seems as though this horrible situation is nearly resulted in an area where you can, each of you have nearly found a way in which you can deal with the situation. Not
Oh,
quite, but nearly.
and I want to just because influencers need to maintain a certain level of reputation. I want to add, please somebody call for help. Call 911. I'm going to film this for evidence and content.
Yeah, there you go. What
Mhm.
could be more influencer than that? Excellently done. Um, I think I'm turning now to Ronnie, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Um, so I know I am right by this big, massive man who's just smashed a head.
Yeah.
I don't like where I am at. So,
Probably reaching for you next.
yeah, I'm going to hop down from that counter and I'm going to head in the direction of like the other people I recognize, the other art students that aren't monstrous pig faced.
Okay. Are we just trying to jump down into the crowded floor space? Are we trying to crowd surf across it? I don't know. I just want to get clear on what I'm imagining when you jump down.
Yeah, I'd say I'm trying to jump down and make myself small because I don't want to be the tallest person in this room because that's the next head that's gonna get grabbed.
Right.
So I'm
Excellent.
like kind of crouch, get down and like kind of crouch through the crowd. Picture me trying to be a mouse essentially, small as I can get.
Okay. Like in that movie, The Witches. So go ahead and roll 3d10 and take the highest number.
10.
All right. So, with deft acrobatics, you leap from the countertop, away from the erstwhile grasping hand of the shopkeep, who indeed had designs to grab you next. You slip through his fingers, down to the hardwood floor, and then shrink down with the eldritch power that you learned that you have from reading The King in Yellow. It seems as though you are safe. Go ahead and roll a d4 and see how this advances the situation.
2.
The situation is nearly over. All of you are nearly safe, whether by way of hiding in the corner, paving a way through to the exit, or by shrinking down so that this horrible amalgam of monstrous people cannot see you. The one question is, what is Victor doing?
So, I guess I have a question before I kind of decide. My ability says I can do it once per hour.
Yes. Yeah.
So
We're playing
I'm done with
loose
that for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess now that my hand's kind of petrified, I'm
Yeah.
gonna start making my way towards the door, and any one of these creatures that comes too close, I'm gonna swing it at them to
Yeah.
kind of frighten them off, and if they get too close, I guess hit them.
Yeah. Here's a new way for you art students to get stoned. Bop. Right? Go ahead and roll a 2d10.
7 and a 5.
Okay. All right. A 7 is a success at a cost. So go ahead and roll a d4 to see how much strain you take.
1.
1. Okay, 1 again. Surely you can't roll 2 1s in a row on a d12. Roll a d12. As long as you roll above a 1, you're okay.
I don't know about that. 2
Greater
1s
than
in a
90%
row.
chance.
That's a 10.
All right. All right. So just keep the 1 stress on your character sheet, just 1 stress. And you managed to literally knock out a couple of students who are in your way. Well, I shouldn't call them students. They are acting like, I don't know, werewolves or something, and they've got pig heads. But you've managed to catch up with the other student you recognize, who we are calling Francis. At this point, everyone has found a way to remain safe, and everything goes black. You wake up later. It was a nightmare. A horrible, horrible nightmare. It takes you back to when you first arrived at the New Julian School, what with its, the turmoil and the chaos of trying to buy art supplies, the surging crowds. Everything you dreamed was like an exaggeration of that. Fortunately, however, it's your second year here, and you know a little better and a little more. Francis wakes up in a very morbid place on campus. I don't know where, but the one thing that you wake up to is the memory of the surging roar of fire, the sound of fire. It's not a sound that's present where you wake up, but it's a sound where you feel like from wherever you wake up, you'll be compelled to seek. But you wake up in a morbid place on campus. Where do you wake up?
On campus?
Yeah.
Oh.
Imagine yourself on a expansive art school campus. It has all kinds of things: painting studios, sculpture studios, supply shops, cafeterias, admission offices, cashiers' offices, and more. Where do you wake up?
So I wake up. This is gonna be dark. I wake up at
Yeah.
the because I can't think of anything else. Um, there's a memorial wreath for a
Yeah,
victim of a drunk driving accident from weeks
yeah,
ago. Um,
yeah.
where four students had died recently.
I love it. You had gone to visit this memorial for reasons private to you, and while staring at the memorial, you had dozed off for a minute. Perhaps this is all those nights staying up late reading The King in Yellow. You dozed off for a moment, but now you snap to. Let me move on and ask where Haley wakes up. You wake up in an area which on campus would be considered kind of more criminally inclined, right? There are more wholesome parts of campus, and then there are the seedier parts of campus where the bad kids are. You're in one of
Um,
those spaces. I don't know where, but you tell me. Where do you wake up?
yes. The campus has a radio station.
Yeah.
And the bathroom, a gender neutral bathroom of that radio station is where the cool kids, and some cool professors go to do coke.
Okay, well, there we go. Drugs in the bathroom of the radio station. That sounds as criminal as I can imagine. Actually, I won't test my imagination on that. Let's just stop there. But yes, I love it. You are in the bathroom of the radio station.
Yes,
And you
it's
wake
like
up.
the bathroom. It's like very dirty too, like the bathroom in Trainspotting.
Oh, God. Even better. Um, I would imagine that, in your indulgence in the particular habits germane to this particular bathroom of the radio station, you had kind of zoned out and had this vision. And you just snap to, and you're surrounded in that environment. Before proceeding to what it is that you do, the first thing that you remember is the roar of the fire, the crackle of the flame, that noise from your dreams. It's almost like it was some kind of clue or something to your destiny. Moving on to Ronnie, the organist. You wake up in a certain place on campus that is either solemn or connected to spirituality or religion in some way. Who knows what they could be? It's a college. There's all kinds of places where people go to meditate or pray or play music. Where is it that you wake up?
I would say I wake up. There's a prayer meditation room that people go during the day to kind of pray, meditate, whatever they decide to do. I wake up in that room.
Excellent. And were you asleep or just meditating?
I would say I was trying to meditate and dozed off, so a bit of both.
It's so embarrassing when that happens. You're like in a yoga class and people are like, close your eyes, relax, get rid of every thought and tension. And you're like an overworked ordinary person who's just like, I haven't slept very well in days. So then that happens. Perfectly understandable. Less understandable is that particular nightmare. You could have sworn that you saw other students from this school that you recognized from a distance. And what's more, the roar of the fire, the crackle of the flame, the sound of the fire, it calls to you. It's as though it's a clue about what you're supposed to do or where you're supposed to go. And let's not leave out Victor, who wakes up in a certain place. Here, you have it easy. You wake up in a place that is particularly important to the production of artwork. You're at an art college, so it could be anywhere. It could be a studio of some kind. It could be a gallery. It could be an advisor's office talking about art. I don't know. But tell us where it is that Victor wakes up.
Probably in my studio. I was making a sculpture. I
Yeah.
also happened to be drinking while I was doing this, so I kind of just slumped over the sculpture at some point and fell asleep.
Yeah. This thing needs more fingers. Yeah. Good. No, that's excellent. It would make sense that you've been working on. Uh, is it okay if I ask what it's a sculpture of? Maybe a person.
Um, yeah, I am trying to recreate a person from a dream, but it just never comes out right.
Got it. Yes. Excellent framing. So you all wake up in your respective places at a memorial for students who were killed by a drunk driver. Um, in your own personal sort of sculpture gallery, or in your room where you are sculpting work, or in a bathroom where all the cool kids hang out, or even where is Ronnie waking up one more time? That was in
The meditation room where I
the
started
meditation
this up.
room. Thank you. The meditation room. So each of you wakes up with the memory, most of all, above the terror, this roar, the roar of fire and flame, the crackle and the infra bass boom of its surging within the fire pit. It's as though it's telling you to go somewhere. Where does Francis choose to go based on this dream? And indeed, I think we might ask, what. Let me ask Francis first. Where do you choose to go based on this?
What time of the day is it?
Oh, that's a good question. Tell me.
All right, I'll say it's getting close to dusk, kind of in the evening, the sun's setting.
Perfect time for art students to wake up.
Yes. And I'll just start heading vaguely in the direction of the setting sun.
Okay. All right. So we're heading west. You encounter a stairwell. It occurs to you to ask, which part of this campus would have something burning in it? Which room, which level, which area of this skyscraper building would have a roiling, broiling, fiery presence? Where do you go once you hit the stairwell? Assuming you don't jump out the window.
So this is the stairwell going up,
Up and down.
up and down. Okay.
Yeah.
So I see kind of like like the lights from a fire coming from downstairs. So I descend down several levels um to
Excellent.
yeah, to the room down there where the fire is.
Excellent. As you head downstairs, there's a small crowd of students who obstruct you. They say that you're not allowed to come down to the areas below where they guard. You have to be a particular sort of human being, a specific sort of human being, they tell you. What do you do about this?
Um so I can make a cat-sized thing decay.
You
Um
sure can.
I'm going to touch the top of one of the students' head and make all their hair fall off.
Okay, that's pretty merciful for you. Let's do it. Go ahead and roll 3d10 and take the higher number.
All right. Oh, I got a 3.
A 3 out of 3d10.
No.
So, your efforts to punish these three, we'll call them unruly undergrads. You try to punish them for their impudence in obstructing your way. Instead, something bad happens. Roll a d4.
All right. 2.
Okay. So, you are socked in the face by one of these students as you reach out towards their head. Go ahead and take 2 strain, and go ahead and roll a d12.
Okie dokie. I rolled a 12.
Okay, you're all right as strain mounts. Let me ask you, as you reach the lower floors, like you're not able to get past these students to the stairwell. Actually, let me hold that thought. Let me hold that thought. Let's go to the bathroom of the radio station, where Kaylee has just come to, and is focused on the roar of the fire, the crackle of flame, and what kind of presence in this campus, skyscraper campus, the new Julian Academy in New York. Where could the fire be? The sound of the fire, where is it pointing you towards? What burns? What room surges with heat and flame on a college campus?
Yes, of course. I'm hungry, so I'm thinking of the cafeteria, but my rational mind says where the ceramics kids go. The what do you call it? The where they put the the oven,
Kiln.
the
I
kilt.
believe it's called.
Kiln.
Kiln.
I was gonna
Yes,
say
the ceramic
ceramicery, but it's probably kiln.
kiln. Yeah. So that seems so my emotional mind says cafeteria, might as well get something to eat because there's probably an oven or like a lot of fire there. The kitchen. But my rational mind says the ceramics studio. So I think I'm going to roll a d4 and let that decide. 1 or 2 is the ceramic studio, 3 or
Sure.
4 is the
Yeah,
cafeteria.
sure thing.
So
I think that's
3.
great.
I'm gonna go to the cafeteria. I'm hungry. I'm hungover. I need some food and to kill 1 bird with 2 stones, or the other way around.
Yeah,
I
the
splash some water on
cafeteria.
my face. Yes, and go to the cafeteria.
Yeah, it is one of the lower levels of the building, so you would need to head downstairs. The problem is leaving this bathroom, right? The other cool DJs who are here, they say, "Whoa, where are you going? We just started partying. You can't leave now." What do you do to get out of this situation, to get to the cafeteria, given that your companions, your fellow partygoers, don't seem to want you to let you leave the party?
Even if I'm going to bring pizza?
Well, you can, if what you're going to do is convince them that you're going to bring pizza, that is fine. You could roll 2d10 and let's see how it goes.
Yes. Oh, and the higher one, right?
Yep, you take the higher one. Yep, always.
9.
All right. Even if I bring pizza, you say, throwing on your best and most charming smile, and they let you go. So off you
Yay!
head down the stairwell. You swear you hear some noise at some point as you're headed in this direction, but never mind that. Before we resolve that question, let's move on to Ronnie the organist, who had awakened in the meditation room. The thing that is mostly on your mind, in fact, it burns in your imagination, pun intended, is the roar of fire and the crackle of flame. You sense that it's somehow telling you to go somewhere. It's such a vivid noise in your nightmare. Yeah.
I'm gonna think about the fireplace that is in the big common room that they have going at night. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to head that direction.
Excellent. Excellent. The only problem is that a large group of art students have just now arrived, and seeing you there, ask if you could like talk to them about your meditative techniques. They're all a little bit blasted from the previous week's partying, and they're beginning to worry that if they keep on like this, they won't be able to actually be art students anymore. So, walking in and seeing that you're doing this sort of thing, they don't want to let you leave unless you instruct them or something. How do you get out of this scenario?
I'm going to tell them, you just shut your eyes and fall asleep. And then I'm going to keep trying to push through.
All right, let's see if that works. Roll 2d10. and take the higher, of course.
10.
All right. It works. This is almost like a cartoon. It's like, all right, the first step is to shut your eyes. Like, okay. And as soon as they do, you just walk out of the room. Perfect. Excellent. You know that the common room where where that big old fireplace blazes and students, they get their meals and they like take their tray over and they sit next to the fire and that's on like the second floor. It's like way below you. So you're taking the stairways down, I assume. There's some noise that you hear in the stairwell, but we'll handle that momentarily as we turn to Victor, who was working in his studio, but dozed off after, as a result of his lifestyle. You come to, and the thing that immediately seizes your imagination is that roar of fire and crackle of flame. It's as if it's a set of instructions telling you where to go, but where do you go?
My idea was to go to the kiln as well.
Good.
But for an additional reason, because no, everyone thinks they're the only one to do it, but on any given night, there's someone cooking a pizza in the kiln.
Is that what Kaylee was going to do? Was Kaylee like, I'll get us a pizza? It's like, you better stop on the old kiln, right? is everybody cooking pizza?
I think it's a different crowd though. Different departments have different secrets. I think it might be a sculpting department secret, sculpting and ceramics department secret.
But maybe a cool dance student might know. I don't know. No, okay, all right. Nonetheless.
Let's say I know, yes, but the cafeteria summoned me more.
So, no sooner than Victor leaves the studio intent on going to cook some pizza at the kiln, you run into your advisor. It's Dr. Archer. He's always getting in the way of your ambition. And, you've got a yen to make a pizza, and he's saying, what, you're leaving the studio already? You know that your thesis project or your, pre-thesis project is several weeks late. What right do you have to just go and take off? You just had a pizza a while ago. And he tries to obstruct you. What are you going to do about this troublesome advisor, Dr. Archer?
I think self-preservation would kick in, even though there's a good chance I'm still slightly drunk. I would start back towards my studio and to see if he starts walking away or if he stays there. And if he walks away, I'll just turn back and go. But
This is great. I love this. This in a moment of classic undergrad subterfuge is like, oh yeah, I'll get back to work. Right, and you see if he's like gonna let's roll 2d10 and see how it goes.
not well. That's a 4.
All right. Well, we're going to say let's roll a d4.
4.
Oh man. Okay, add 4 to your current strain, then we'll drop that d12. What's your current strain at with the 4? Is that 5?
That's 5.
So a 6 or above on a d12, that's pretty good odds. Better than...
That's a 4.
Okay. We'll erase your strain. Before, you had a flaky, gray, misshapen hand. Now, and that was subtle. Now it's blatant. Something about your monstrous feature has grown, exaggerated. You have a blatant, monstrous feature as you barrel your way past your advisor down to where you know you can make pizza. It requires you to take the stairwell down, where, curiously enough, you hear a bunch of noise. What is your blatant feature? Your blatant, monstrous feature? You used to have a misshapen hand. Now what?
My face is hardened, so it kind of looks like I'm wearing a mask.
Oh, beautiful. It looks like you're wearing a mask. It looks like you're wearing a mask. But of course, are you? No. No mask. Well, stone-faced, you head into the stairwell nonetheless, and you hear a number of, well, sounds. You hear arguing, you hear the pitter-pat of desperate footsteps, and we're going to turn back to Francis. Francis had, if I'm not mistaken, tried to find a different way to descend the staircase, having been unable to rot someone's hair off. You are well. First, let me ask what your next strategy is to get down the stairs.
So these students are blocking my way still, and
They are, yeah.
All right, let's see. So I'm just gonna back up so I get a running start, and I'm just gonna Red Rover my way through them, just charge through.
Okay. All right. We will let you do this. The obstacle to you doing this is that you immediately barrel into someone else. Sure, you Red Rover through them. But then you run into another student. Let me ask, of the other students, who does Francis literally smack into as he's descending the staircase as fast as he can? Who wants to be the person who he runs into? You all ran into the stairwell.
Roll to figure out.
Okay. He runs into Victor. You literally smack into Victor. You think this guy is wearing a mask. And now you are in contact with each other. You both hear the noises of other people traversing this stairwell.
What's up? Okay.
Deadass, do you just have the worst stream ever?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm not even sure right now if I'm still in the stream or not.
Yeah. Want some pizza?
Sure.
Come on.
Yeah!
I'll never say no to pizza.
Meanwhile, I would imagine that the two of you encounter the other two students. You encounter Kaylee, and you encounter Ronnie. The four of you are now in a stairwell, and it seems as though you have designs to go to where there is a kiln. And so you end up in...
I didn't know about the pizza. If I had known, I would have gone to the kiln. And yes, so as soon as I overhear, you want some pizza? Yeah. And I'm like, hell yeah. Do you have room for like maybe 5 more pizzas? Room and ingredients for 5 more pizzas? Because I need to feed a lot of people.
When it comes to ingredients, you've got frozen pizzas. All college students have frozen pizzas.
Well, hell yeah,
but
then.
I think it's Victor who has the hookup. If I'm not that's right. So Victor leads you, and you end up in the ceramic studio. In the ceramic studio, there are enormous kilns. You shudder to look at them, for it immediately occurs to you unwholesomely that you could fit a whole corpse in one of them, incinerated with the power of its heat. You push the thought out of your mind. You're here for pizza, of course, but also you've talked to each other and you realize each of you has read The King in Yellow. Each of you has an incredible destiny, an incredible power. Not that you need to demonstrate your powers to each other. Why would you? You believe that each other and yourselves are burdened with the same glorious purpose. So now the question is, how do you fulfill your destiny? How do you find the yellow sign and with its power assume the role of rulership that was always deserved to you? So your characters flip open the stage play The King in Yellow, right? You're all flipping it open together. You are kindred spirits. How auspicious that a dream would bring you together. You flip open the stage play, and you prepare to divine or discern how to fulfill your destiny. Let me begin with, of course, Francis. May I ask you, when you flip open the play to a scary image, what is the scary image? What's the illustration that you see in those pages? The only requirement is it's scary. It could be simple, complex, grisly, mysterious, but the only requirement is it's a spooky, scary image. What do you see in that stage play?
Well, to go with the death theme, it's just a Grim Reaper, skeleton dude with a big hood and a scythe, and it's kind of drawn in like a charcoal drawing.
Ooh, a black and white drawing of a skeleton in a black hooded robe with a scythe. Let's see if your mind can hold on to an image so horrifying by rolling 2d10s and taking the higher number.
Okie dokie. 6.
Okay. This is the image, but merely by selecting it, just flipping open to that page shocks you. It's a bolt to your sanity, to your mind. Go ahead and roll a d4 and see how it affects you.
Okie dokie. 2.
Add 2 strain to your total and roll a d12. What is your total strain now?
4.
4. As long as you roll a 5 or above, everything's fine.
I rolled a 5.
All right. You just keep that strain. Your strain is mounting, but so far it hasn't prompted you to become any more monstrous than you are. Things are fine. The King in Yellow has presented you, the stage play, The King in Yellow, has presented you with a coded mission of some kind. Whatever you're supposed to do, it's represented as this Grim Reaper figure. There's a kitty cat. A beautiful kitty cat. Let's go to Kaylee. So, your instructions are encoded in the image of a Grim Reaper, a skeleton in a hooded black robe wielding a scythe. What is this image telling you and your company to do? It's a secret set of instructions, esoterically represented in code as a visual image, but it's up to you to actually decide. You've come down to to a ceramics studio. There are students working on ceramics. There are kilns, and you've just been told that whatever it is that you need to do here to fulfill your destiny, it's represented as a Grim Reaper. What are you supposed to do here? What are the instructions? Interpret it. There's no wrong answer.
It's very sad for me to announce, you all, after interpreting this instruction, we have been mandated, we have been ordered to bake a pizza with human meat.
Aha! Oh my goodness. Talk about meat toppings.
Yeah.
This is a horrific set of instructions. Your mind might lose grasp of them. They're so horrific. Let's roll 2d10 to make sure that your mind can hold on to instructions so horrific. Also, kudos. Excellent interpretation. Wookie wookie.
No, I think I failed. My highest is a 4.
Alas. Roll a d4, and let's see how much this damages you to even think of.
2.
2? Add 2 strain to your total. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time your character has suffered strain, right? So you just have 2 strain. Roll a d12. As long as you roll a 3 or higher, nothing happens.
6.
All right. It just stresses you out to think about this. But fortunately, it's not exactly what you need to do. You've come into a ceramics lab. You've been told that your instructions are represented visually as the Grim Reaper. Fortunately, you don't need to cook a human pizza. It must be something else. Perhaps. Perhaps. Oh, you want to say something? Yes.
No. I was just responding to. Oh, okay. That's a relief.
Ronnie then may interpret the image as some other thing. What is this instruction telling you to do? Yeah.
Mhm. I think we need to give some of our slices of pizza as an offering to those people who passed in the drunk driver accident, that memorial we have.
Pizza
Possible.
sacrifice.
May I ask? May I ask? Is this a scary set of instructions? And if not, can we make it scary?
I would
It's
say,
one thing. Yeah.
I'd
Go
say
ahead.
it's not super scary unless we think of if we don't give them this pizza, then they will eat us as the sacrifice.
There we go.
Honestly, throwing away
So-
perfectly good pizza is pretty terrifying to me. So
It actually, that's true. It just sit there with nobody to eat it.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected. One of the only things the maestro or GM does in this game is just make sure that the story beats are scary. Wasting pizza is scary to me too. I understand. So let's see whether the feeding of pizza to angry ghosts at a memorial is the correct interpretation of this image in the form of instructions. Roll 2d10.
Four.
Oh no!
It's not
Roll a
correct.
d4 and let's see how this affects you.
2.
Okay, add 2 to your total strain. If I'm not mistaken, you've got what is it? That should make you 3 or 4 total.
I only have 2 strain total. I haven't taken strain yet.
Oh, okay, cool. So 2 strain as long as you roll, as long as your d12 is 3 or above.
6.
Okay, so you just have 2 strain. You're getting a little stressed out. The idea of actually feeding pizza to ghosts was disturbing to you for a moment, but you realize that cannot be it. You were brought to this ceramic studio with glorious purpose, and you intend to fulfill it, but it can't just be human pizza or feeding pizza to ghosts. There must be some other thing. The roar of the fire, the crackle of the flame from your nightmares commands you. What does Victor think you should do?
Ooh, I'm blanking at the moment. Oh, we need to feed as many people as we can with these pizzas. So not only appease the ghosts, but spread the sacrifice to as many as we can.
I should add, feeding people doesn't sound very scary. Is there something...
It's human pizza though.
Oh, okay. I think the scary part is making the pizza then.
Well, making everyone cannibal sounds kind of
That sounds
crazy too.
scary. Let's roll 2d10 and see.
That's an 8.
Okay, so you one up Kaylee's suggestion. It's like Kaylee's like, we need to make human pizza. And turns out that's not true. You need to make human pizza and feed it to people. That's what you need to do. Obviously. Okay. So, good job. That turns out to be the interpretation. Moving on and back to Francis. Your instructions are clear. Make human pizza and feed it to human art students. How do you go about doing this? It's a horror game. Sorry, it's not 5e.
Well, we've got ingredients down the hall, right? All those students.
You got ingredients in the room with you, as well as a bunch of frozen pizzas that one that I think Victor brought along. Neither Nilhemoth Games nor any of the players on this broadcast condone actual violence against real people at schools or anything. This is a fictional horror role-playing game that we are playing for fun. Part of the fun is being like, oh my god, I can't believe we've gone to this extreme.
We do endorse
Back to you.
cannibalism, though.
Well, not really. We'll talk about that in the post play. But yeah, anyway, Francis is tasked with following these instructions. You need to make some human pizzas, apparently. What is your means by which to try to do this? If anything is a combat situation, I guess this might be, right?
Is that to me?
It's Francis.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Francis is tasked with being the executioner slash butcher slash chef,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
All right. I'm gonna let's do this. Yeah, I'm gonna go back the way I came, where the crowd of students were. And I'm gonna find the nearest one, and I'm going to touch one of their shoulders, and I just want to make their arm. I just want to like kind of localized, just rapid
Yep.
decay, and just make their arm just like fall off.
You're looking to disarm a student, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. Good. Okay. Well, let's roll 3d10 and take the highest number.
All right. 8.
All right. Wouldn't you know it, you do this not once, twice, or thrice, but you move around the ceramic studio and the space in the hallway immediately outside, lopping off arms. You know, an excellent part of the bird to use. And you're doing this, and people are screaming. Wouldn't you know it, the cops are arriving, or campus security, at least. Probably with cops. I would assume with cops. So the question is, what is Kaylee doing about these cops and campus security arriving? You are so close to just following the instructions from the King in Yellow, which of course you have to do. And now these cops are going to get in the way. What are you going to do about that?
Well, like you said earlier, I'm not just a regular influencer. I'm a deep fluencer. So I know some, yeah, I know some people who can take care of people. I also know some people in the law enforcement
Yeah.
places. And some of them are in my OnlyFans, and some of them are like my really, really loyal fans. I'm going
Yeah.
to tell them that there's just something that needs to be done here. And
Yeah.
if you can just take care of it, it would be awesome. And I'll give you free membership for a year.
Yeah. You contact the corrupt cops on Only Thugs. And let's have you roll 3d10 and see how that goes. By the way, awesome. I'm loving all of our players' creativity in this game.
I rolled a 10, so the cops are licking my boots now.
Yeah, and they are, yeah. So the cops start to arrive, realize who they're tangling with, decide, you know what? We don't see a problem. And law enforcement, as well as campus security, recedes as you make human pizzas and serve them to humans. Wouldn't you know it, all of the effort of doing this has really taxed your physiques and your minds. No wonder you're exhausted. You slip out of consciousness in the ceramic studio. It's been a long day. And as you slip out of consciousness, there's a flash of light. A yellow light. And curiously enough, it blasts against your retinas even though your eyes are closed, as though it's coming from inside your mind. You dream a deep and dangerous dream, knowing that you have found the yellow sign. Each of your characters has found the yellow sign. You have unlocked incredible magic powers from here on out for the rest of the game. We are halfway through the game. Should we take a quick, like maybe 2-minute break, 5-minute break, something, a brief break? I don't think I'm going to stop recording here because I don't know how ScreenFlow interacts with my Discord, so I'll keep this going. I'll edit it out if you know, for YouTube. But let's come back in 5 and conclude our adventure. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you everyone for watching so far. We'll come back in 5. I guess that would be 8:20, so Eastern Standard. See you in 5. And welcome back. We have just finished Act 2 of 5 Acts The King in Yellow RPG. You are art students. You had suffered a terrible nightmare after reading The King in Yellow, and of course subsequently learning that you have supernatural powers and are burdened with a glorious cosmic destiny. You had a nightmare about being trapped in an art studio, surging with students all trying to get their supplies, as a cadaverous, hulking shopkeep smashed students' heads against a bar, and as you were deprived of breath by the very crowd itself. Now, you have returned to that very same scene, but things are different. The roof has been blown off of the art studio, and there above, in the sky, which is a bone white dotted with curious black stars, there swoop down a number of weird harpy-like creatures. They're enormous, with bodies like albatrosses, nay, bigger. They remind you of those prehistoric eagles that you've seen exhibits of in museums. They're swooping down and grabbing students with their talons and floating upward to rip their brains out and to throw the remaining carcass on the ground. Their heads are humanoid. They look like the heads of this shopkeep. It's very disturbing. Like a harpy from the Odyssey, only with a head that's lurched from the Addams family, and a ravenous cannibalistic desire impelled to rip their heads off. You are in danger. You are attacked by horrible monsters, not just the harpies from above, but also the monstrous swine-faced students that turn towards you and reach up with their talons in order to do you harm. You have all found the yellow sign. You all have incredible powers at this point. What is Francis up to?
So do we have new powers?
In the case of Francis, you were before only able to cause a little bit of matter to decay. Like matter about the volume of a cat. Now, you are a master of death and decay. You could level a building with a touch. You could cause whole tracts of land, acres to wither. You just need to touch things and make them decay. There's almost no limit on your size and influence. You just need to exert your power.
Okay. I'm going to turn the students around me that the eagle guys are picking up into zombies, so that when the eagles pick them up, the zombies start like eating, like biting at them.
I love it. I love it so much. Please roll 3d10
All right.
and roll high because I want this to happen. 3d10.
Where's the 8?
All right. It does happen. A number, and this is horrifying to watch. I mean, just seeing one person collapse to the ground and clutch at their chest because they're having a heart attack is already, like, harrowing. Imagine 100 students doing that, young and in their prime. And now imagine them rising up, ghoulish, gray-faced, and ravenous with yellow teeth and long tongues like the tongues of horses, and claws that extend from the ends of their fingertips, reaching up to attack the birds of prey, nay, harpies of prey that swoop down to grab them. There is now a battle pitched between your zombies and the harpies above. Roll a d4. This is exciting. How bad do your zombies inflict damage here?
Ooh, I
I
got
love
4.
this. Fuck. Excuse me. Hell yeah. That is awesome. You fell several zombies. They fall to the ground with ravenous corpses of art students flung upon them per your power. That is to say nothing of the power of Kaylee. Kaylee of the radio station bathroom. Legendary now. Your power, excuse me, is now reached its height. Where is your thing? Here we are. With your TikTok influence, you don't have 700 followers. You don't have 700,000 followers. You don't even have 7 million followers. You have 700 million followers. You could command an army. You could overthrow a country, even a rich country. You just need to tell them what to do. And here you are trapped in an art shop. Like as an art student in you're trying to buy brushes. What? How inconvenient that you should be attacked by these harpies swooping down from a roofless overhead. What are you going to do about it?
Sharpshooters. I'm going to
Yeah.
summon all the sharpshooters from the all the militaries of all the governments in the world.
Yes.
And have them shoot on the harpies, shoot bazookas and like I don't know many firearm terms, but like the big guns, you know?
You don't need to. You can just witness them. At your command, literal military forces show up to dispense with the harm, the nuisance of these lurch-headed harpies, like peritons, but a little less deer-like. Go ahead and roll 3d10s and tell me what the highest number is.
Oh no. 6, partial success.
Oh no. Okay, so let's first roll a d. Oh, go ahead.
Is 6 a partial success?
Wait, no, it's not. 6 is
Is it a
actually a failure. Yeah. 1 through 6 is fail, 7 to 8 is partial success, and then 8 through wait a minute. 1 through 5. No, 6 is a partial success. You're right. How could I forget the rules of my own game? Damn it. Hey, viewers, that's my bad. 6 is a partial success. 6 and 7 is partial success. Go ahead and roll a d4 to see how you advance the situation with your power first.
2.
2. All right. And now roll a d4 for the amount of strain you take, because the harpies overhead have noticed your command.
Just 1.
1. So add 1 to your strain, and let's roll a d12. What's your current strain? I think it's 3 or something, right?
3. Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Huh?
Pretty good, my
9.
son.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you are safe. You're getting more and more stressed out as you command as you command your militarily inclined followers to engage with these harpies. You realize that you're making yourself vulnerable, standing up and saying, "Get them! Get them!" Right? And you're leading the charge, but also now a target. And so you're ducking as things swoop down at you. So far unharmed.
Mm.
I don't know if the same can be said for Ronnie, but we'll see. You are now in a roofless mockery of what used to be a normal art studio, just an ordinary art studio. And now what?
So since we found the yellow sign, I am able to banish things that displease me. Is there a limit to that, or can I just attempt to banish all of the harpies?
You can banish all of the harpies you see.
I'm going to
Maybe
attempt
more
to
will show up.
banish. It's true. I'm going to attempt to banish all the harpies that I see.
Yeah, why not? You are the organist who has found the yellow sign. 3d10, please.
7.
That is, so this does not come without a cost. Indeed, your very physiognomy is taxed with the effort. Go ahead and roll a d4 to see how you advance the situation, of course.
3.
Oh my goodness. With your power, this nightmare is nearly over. But roll a d4 to see how it affects you.
4.
Oh, okay. Add 4 to your strain. I think that's bumping you up to like the 8 or 9 area. What is it?
I had 2, so this is now 6. 6 strain.
6. Okay. This is like flipping a coin. Roll a d12.
Yeah, it's fine odds, right?
Yeah.
5.
Oh, well, erase your strain, and it seems as though by calling upon the power of armies and armed men, you too have become a little more monstrous. How is it that you have transformed in a subtle way? You have a subtle monstrous feature.
So I do have, kind of a bit of hair up top. I feel like I have 2 horns that are just slightly making an appearance. So they're covered up, but then if
Yeah.
you look really close, if you feel the top of my head, you'll notice that I'm starting to have these horns protruding.
Oh my god, medieval witch hunters would love you. But yes, you've got a subtle pair of horns. It's a subtle monstrous feature, yet nonetheless, with your power, you manage to banish a whole host of predatory monsters from the sky. There's just a few left. Ones that were just outside your field of vision, but now swoop in to take the absence of those that you had formerly banished. This brings us to Victor, who, I must say, this is such a cool mask and spooky and appropriate. I want to, if this were 5e, I would give you inspiration, but our game affords no such mechanics. Instead, I must ask what the pallid mask, Victor, is doing in the wake of this huge monstrous assault on what would ordinarily seem to be just a frenzy of buying art supplies.
To start out, can you guys hear me with this thing on okay?
I sure can.
Alright. So I can summon golems. So I'm gonna start just going around touching every piece of stone I can and create these stone sculptures that come to life. But
Yeah.
since chaos seems to be the name of my game, I'm not gonna specify what to attack, just to attack. So zombies, harpies,
Why
soldiers
zombies?
alike, they're just going to town on everything.
He's like,
Not
hey
my
you, kill
zombies.
everything. That's awesome. I love it. Roll 3d10. Let's go. Things are escalating off the rails. I mean, your powers are almost unlimited now. It's just limited by theme and die rolls.
That's a 10.
But 3d10. Yes. So I assume you move about. Perhaps in this particular art supply shop, there are bits of sculpture. You touch each and every one of them, and anything that's really partially made of stone, you touch it, and it grows and becomes a bruising, brawling, brash, and hulking fighter for you, with fists of stone that just start punching harpies, punching zombies, punching students, punching whoever, right? It's like a montage of Mortal Kombat fatalities. And let's roll a d4 to see how this goes.
4.
All right. You have found the yellow sign. You have experienced a weird hallucinatory vision of carnage in the midst of your first semester buying art supplies. You fall prone, everything goes black, and there's a moment of silence before you wake up to an incredible scene. When you wake up, the entire art school is immersed in a chaotic din. The earth is rocking and shaking. The whole building is quaking. People are ducking under tables. They're screaming and running down fire exits. All kinds of. It looks as though there's some kind of emergency going on, and you are in the very middle of it. You hear a fiery noise, a blazing fiery noise, but it's clearly outside the building. I'm going to turn to Francis and ask what it is that you do in the midst of this mass evacuation of your school, in the midst of the sound of a blazing fire than which none louder you have ever heard.
Do I know what do I know what direction the fire is coming from?
Up.
Okay.
You're at one of the upper levels of this art school. Well, actually, a lower level, but not too far that you can't reach an upper level.
Okay. I guess I'll just turn more people into zombies.
I don't see why you shouldn't.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's make a college full of zombies.
Yeah. There are a number of dead students in the ceramic studio in which you stand. It looks like you zoned out for a moment. Now a bunch of people are dead. There's bits of soot and dust and things falling from the ceiling as the building quakes. Right? If you've ever seen a movie where there's like a bomb blast that shakes a building and you see like stuff fall from the ceiling, there's a little bit like that. Roll 3d10. Tell me how it goes. That's not a thumbs up. Discord. Okay. Misinterprets my hand gestures sometimes. What was it?
10.
Okay. You successfully raise an army of over 24 cadaverous, obedient corpses, and they stand ready. Now what? And before you ask me, I have to turn to Kaylee of the radio station bathroom, illustrious TikToker, excuse me. And now, what are you doing here? You hear and feel the blaze of a fire above you somehow. It's as though it's way above you, and you know about it. What are you doing?
I go to the nearest window and jump out of it, knowing that I command a lot of people. People are already they'll not only catch me, they'll friggin' acrobat me and throw me onto the top of the building or wherever So yes, an army of acrobatic people will catch me and throw me.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Go ahead and roll 3d10.
10.
All right. So No sooner than you throw yourself out of a window, shattering glass and preparing for a harsh impact, than someone catches you, maybe 2 floors down. It just so happens that a pair of very creative TikTok followers with suction cups and embarrassingly designed spandex suits are climbing up and trying to like hoist as they climb a net of some kind, like a trapeze artist's net. And they're like bringing it up, and once they got you, they're like, "We got you!" And then they point out that they've recently asked their friends to subscribe, and they're hoping to endear some favor, as though saving you from plummeting to your death was not enough. They have now hoisted you up to the top of the building where you see a horrible sight. There is a blazing sun in the sky. Not the one that you're normally used to seeing, a different one, a larger one. One that blazes with a different color than the sun. It's a weird color. You want to say it's both hot and cold at the same time. Your knowledge of art and chromatics is transcended by this thing. How could a color be a hot color and a cold color at the same time? You don't know how to say, but this colossal star, like Betelgeuse or something, is like in the middle of the sky. So, the question now is, what do you do? But before you answer that, let's turn to Ronnie, the organist.
Yeah.
Likewise. You're in the
I
studio.
am going to teleport myself outside of the building because I don't. It feels like that's about to collapse. I'm going to teleport myself outside of the building and see what is happening to it. Essentially.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and roll 3d10. You're using your powers, right?
Yes. 7.
Let's roll a d4, and we'll have that d4 apply to your strain, because this is success at a cost.
3.
Okay, add 3 to your strain, roll a d12. What's your strain? Is your strain at 9 now, or 8?
It's 3, because we had to reset it. I have my horns
that's
now.
Right. Yeah.
6. So I'm safe.
Okay. All right. So you might have teleported up to the roof in a way where your ankles down would have been immersed in concrete and you would have had to lose your feet. That would suck. Instead, you flawlessly teleported atop the roof of this skyscraper campus. You have to remember, you're in New York, so the New Julian School is basically like a building. It's one building. You're at the top, and 2 things strike your attention. One, a pair of strangely garbed men hoisting a net as they climb up the side of the building, and in the net appears to be your fellow student. And second, above you, there's a blazing comet or a star. It looks like the sun, but it's changing size way too quickly. And you swear you can hear a song coming from it. It's like a sad, mournful song. A horrible song that's like trying to tell you why death isn't so bad, or something scary like that. I'd ask what you would do in response, but before we do that, it's I would want to know what Victor is doing from the kiln. Also, I love this is so cool. The mask is so cool. It fits your blatant monstrous feature. But what is Victor doing?
He's going to use his golems as like linebackers to clear the way out.
Yeah. Out up or out down?
Whichever's closer.
Up is closer.
Then we're going up.
All right.
Anyone he passes, he's going to use Fetromancy to turn them to stone, and then just they shatter.
Yeah. If anyone gets in your way, you touch them, they not only turn to stone, but brittle stone. Stone that cannot even accommodate the mass of its own constitution and just crumbles. I love it. 3d10, please.
9.
All right. So, That should be yeah, that is a success. So you managed to run upwards. You're flanked by these golem linebackers, these living statues, which are the product of your eldritch powers. You make your way up, and at the top you find your fellow art students. I assume that Kaylee was hoisted up to the roof ultimately by her subscribers, I guess.
Yes.
I think, and
I was
just
still
to check in with,
bounced up with the net. Boing.
yeah, boing. I love it. I like the visual inspiration too. Thank you. I think Francis was also up there. Am I mistaken in this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm
All
doing
right.
a similar thing, clearing the way with my zombies.
That's right. So you've all made it up to the roof. You see that above you is a blazing star growing growing larger and larger by the second. It looks as though it's going to fly down and crash into you. All around you, you hear the sounds of screaming and the sounds of sirens and panic and emergency. It's as though it's the worst earthquake drill ever. You remember those. Now, what do you do? I'm going to go around. We're going to have a turn order where I'll begin with Francis. What are you doing at the site of this horrific comet? You have all the power that the yellow sign affords you. What will you do?
Well, are we trying to stop this sun from destroying the Earth, or
You tell me.
okay. So
You might want to destroy the world. You might want to save it and rule it. I don't know.
So
You are-
I'm going to I'm gonna have all the zombies that I've gathered. I'm gonna have them start doing kind of like like rituals, like making motions, like sun salutations, kind of, you know,
Yeah.
reaching their arms up to the sky, and to kind of like as if to kind of like herald in the coming apocalypse.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Roll 3d10.
All right.
Wonderful storytelling move. Good.
8.
All right. Your followers gather together. I mean, your undead followers, the cadavers you've raised from being killed, and they do a kind of ceremony in honor of the comet that heralds the world's end, I guess. What is Kaylee doing as she witnesses? There's kind of, I guess it's like Michael Jackson's Thriller, where there's like the synchronized zombie dance going on, but then you also have stuff you can do. So
I am loving this yogic zombie army. So I'm going to follow suit in the festivities and order my followers to prepare, because I'm guessing the sun is hot, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Well, okay. Maybe you all can help me decide. One part of me wants to investigate this by recruiting all the best astrophysicists around the world. But another part of me just wants to party, you know, and prepare the biggest pizza ever with my followers, so that when the sun comes down, we'll have a great last meal.
Okay. Which of these is more Kaylee, gang?
Pizza. I mean, Kaylee is the person who does coke in the radio station
What do you
underneath
do?
the bathroom.
Yeah, I think Reagan's got it. Like
Okay.
sounds like
Yeah. Well, I'm going
thing.
to then that you mentioned Coke. I'm going to have my army of followers. Yes, bring me as much substances as possible. Form a mountain of substances on one side, and then another big group of followers prepare the biggest. And this is not even frozen. It's like made from scratch. Prepare the biggest pizza ever on a platform.
The
Like a
sun
pizza
actually
from
might be
Cold
able to cook it for us.
Exactly.
Not enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that is a really good point. The fact that like, all right, we will
That
just
was
lay out the raw ingredients.
Yeah, that was the intention. The sun, the world is going to become a kiln.
Yeah, and the apocalyptic incineration can just make the pizza like hot and ready, and everybody who dies
Yeah.
in the last few nanoseconds is going to die eating some delicious pizza. So that's really
Yes.
good.
Maybe
I
even with some human meat inside too. So we'll be fulfilling our prophecy after all.
oh my god, I wish there were some way to like give people cool points like inspiration in this game, but there isn't and there can't be. But if there were, that is dope. I don't think we are done, however, because in these final moments of the planet's existence, apparently, what is Ronnie doing?
So I had half
Could
a
be
mind to
planet, I
attempt.
guess.
I had half a mind to attempt to try to banish the sun, but honestly, I believe our power has come from this being, just with everything that's happened, and I see all of my fellow art students getting ready to party. I'm gonna whip out my pan flute and I'm gonna start harmonizing with the music this sun is providing us. So we also have, a nice full embodied song with our dancing zombies and pizza festivities.
Oh my god. Well, now you have to imagine like zombies dancing to Michael Jackson's Thriller, except for the music isn't Thriller, it's like Gloomy Sunday or something. But excellent. We technically have to request a 3d10 roll for this because it is your powers at the end of the game and the world.
6.
Okay, well this is success at a cost. So go ahead and roll. Let's roll a d4 for your strain first.
2. So
Add it to
that's
the total.
5 strain total.
D12. 6 or above is success.
10.
All right. You are fine at the end of the world. Non-monstrous. And if I'm okay, the I think the only player we have left is Victor, right?
Yep.
And you see, okay, you basically witness all of the other players' turns from raising up an army of zombies to making them do a cool dance party to changing the music that they're dancing to. I love the idea that it's like a bunch of zombies show up and it's like, we're going to do the time warp. And then somebody else is like, no, I'm changing the channel. And they do another thing. That's pretty fun. Okay. But what are you doing as a comet threatens to slam into the Earth?
So, not wanting this party to end, I'm gonna have my golems kind of start meshing together to hopefully make a giant golem to attempt to catch this thing so we can keep partying.
Oh my god, that's great. This is exactly the off the rail stuff that Act 4 needs. Go ahead and roll 3d10 and may the odds be with you.
That's a 7.
Okay. So let's roll a d4 to first see how this might affect you. Were you charred by the fire of the comet as it was caught?
4.
Okay. Let's add it and then roll the d12. What's your total strain?
4.
Okay, all right.
It got reset after I got the mask.
Oh, that's right. So then you just need to roll a 5 or above on the d12.
And that's a 4.
Okay. So now as we reach our conclusion, you have a critical monstrous feature. It's not just that you have a hand of stone or a face of stone. You are far beyond any stoner. You have a monstrous feature that threatens your very humanity and personhood. What do you look like? How are you now at the precipice of the world's end as we reach our game's conclusion?
I still have my mobility, but I am indistinguishable from one of my golems.
Oh, you just look like a being wrought from stone. I love it.
I
A
am
true
the stoner.
Yeah. And so, um, it seems as though each of you perishes in fire or in the crushing collapse of so much architecture. Let's say that sometime later, let's do a quick sort of fade to black. Open up. The chancellor of the New Julian School of Design and Art. He has just invited 4 people into an office. These 4 people are expert counselors, behavioral psychologists, doctors, and even some experts in the paranormal. The chancellor says, look, I don't want this meeting to go on for too long, but we had a very tragic event occur here. A number of students were murdered by a small cadre of eccentric recent, and they were only sophomores. They rampaged through the fire escape through the stairwell. They rampaged through the stairwell, made their way to the ceramics lab, and did unthinkable things. Then they ran to the roof. We tried to interview them, and they said incredible things. They said, "Oh, I turned people to stone. Oh, I just summoned my millions of followers. This makes no sense." None of these people have any influence online or in real life. Certainly none of them have any experience with things like sculpture. I need to know what really happened here. Could you at least maybe cite one thing that one of these students claimed to have done and maybe tell us what really happened instead? Like how did they manage to kill so many people? What were they thinking? What was going on? And then he points at Franklin. You are a character who is, a behavioral psychologist, a therapist, someone, and you're asked to explain the fact that a bunch of students all rose up and like they started dancing around all at once like a flash mob. This was something that one of the defendants said was an effect of their magic. But that's stupid. How would you explain it?
Well, clearly it was a case of mass delusion. Must be some form of, I believe it's called Cotard syndrome, or there's
Hmm.
it's a psychological illness where the subject believes that they are in fact dead, even though they are very much alive. Now, this delusion must have spread to many of the students to make them believe that that they were in fact dead.
Hmm. Would you say this is a kind of extended Cotard syndrome? And if so, second follow-up question, what would you say about the subject's claim that he can control the dead? Is this is this an unconnected pathology, or is it the same thing?
Well, uh,
Did they have too many Twinkies? Did the
well,
strain of college life
as we all know, that college life is very, very stressful, and
could be it?
there are many unhealthy coping mechanisms for how to deal with it. This clearly student life must have pushed this young lad too far.
Hmm. Yeah, it does seem as though once you have a murderous undergraduate who's known nothing but privilege before. I would like to hear another professional opinion, however. Thank you, Dr.
Francois.
Dr. Francois. Thank you, Dr. Francois. Excellent. Let me turn to I'm so sorry. I forgot your name, Dr. I'm going to indicate as GM to PC or to player Wanda.
Dr. Canola. Kaylee,
Okay.
it's Kaylee, canola.
And you know that the subject you had studied and you'd submitted a report to us saying that this Kaylee with an EIGH had succumbed to some kind of megalomania, and this is supposed to explain her behavior. But there's also the weird gathering of criminals at the, like, everyone from organized crime who are currently being indicted by federal judges to, like, I don't know, like, vagrant drug dealers. What's going on there? Do you have a hypothesis?
Oh, yes, clearly Kaylee also had a serious substance use problem. And she apparently had some connections with the the criminal groups that dealt drugs with the students in this institution. And a lot of them has fallen in love with Kaylee, because sometimes megalomaniacs display a lot of charisma. And these people, along with Kaylee's very rich parents' money, just decided that she's such an important client that they had to make some sacrifices in order to meet her whimsical needs.
This is helpful information.
Mhm.
As you know, Kaylee had claimed to have this massive following online, but we found this to be spurious. But if what you say is
Mhm.
true, perhaps her family had hired a number of people to show up. Something like
It
this.
is
It's all very
unclear.
mysterious.
It is unclear if the family was directly involved, but my theory is that at least the family's money and the estates, many estates that they have, was a big motivator for these criminal organizations uh, to follow her orders.
Well, if that's true, we may have a target for the litigations that the city is attempting to level against us when it comes to the violation of student safety protocols, laws, and so forth. Someone has to be at fault if it comes to one of the families of these otherwise unassociated undergraduates. This is another thing we're going to get hammered in court, continues the chancellor, right? Like we're going to, like, how are these students connected? As far as I can tell, they didn't even know each other. Does anyone have any insight on this? And then he turns to, and Reagan, who are you playing here? You're a
Uh,
counselor or an expert or someone.
I am going to be an expert in religion and cults and how
Oh,
they
that's
mix
excellent.
together.
We got our own
Dr.
Steve Hassan.
Ranola. hmm
Yeah.
I would say these people. So when we talk about student life, we also have to talk about how they decide to organize themselves as a society. You know, you said that they were all sophomores. I think what truly
Yeah.
happened is a cult was formed. The pressures of of school, they're gonna create a hierarchy. And I believe that these people probably sat at the top. And we say that what happened was not reality, but maybe for them inside this cult, they did have this social following. This was the reality of them. Part of this cult, because as we've noticed multiple times, making pizza, that must be a super significant part of it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a giant roof pizza. I don't think we can ignore that part. So I would say probably how it's cult mixed with heavy drug use, especially all the cocaine, that mountain of cocaine. Yes.
Yes. There was a large amount of narcotics found in some of the uh, students and some of the defendants' personal quarters in their dorm. We had to follow some leads that began at the bathroom outside of the radio station, but we were wondering the extent to which that separate crime was explanatory, right? So we were wondering about that. I don't think our analysis could be complete without, of course, the testimony of Dr. I'm so
Oh,
sorry, Dr.
I apologize. It's Father McKellen.
Dr. Father McKellen, or is it just Father McKellen?
Just Father.
My apologies.
Um,
The professionality of your submission made me think you were another faculty member. Please continue. What was going on here?
I believe with not just this incident, but just the unusual amount of unexplained incidents your school has, that there may be something more going on here, something more supernatural that those more academically minded might overlook. Um, we would
Hmm.
have to look into it further. Maybe a a tome or a burial or something, but I believe there may be more going on here than just simple psychosis or something like that.
Well, thank you, Doctor. I believe you. I believe all of you, says the Chancellor. We need to get to the bottom of this, find out exactly why these students behaved in such a horrible, murderous way. I personally think they may have reacted negatively to their declining grades, and then it was punctuated by the earthquake drill we had. But there's no telling. In the meantime, though, I have forgive the forgive my lapse into pedagogy, but let me say maybe some homework for each of you. As you know, as long as the police work on this case, we are all investigators, and I couldn't help but notice there's a particular manuscript that each of these culprits had carried with them. Uh, it looks like it's a stage play of some kind, something about a yellow king or something. I'm afraid that my administrative duties prevent me from a thorough review, but in the interest of looking into these murders, would you please yourselves read this book and take some notes? And he passes to each of you a
Yes.
copy of The King in Yellow. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for playing this fun little game, this fun little one-shot game. This is but one example of a kind of little, King in Yellow scenario you can run. The idea is you pick a couple of very basic sort of things in the way of setting, and you let the players kind of guide the action. Other than you being at an art school, I really didn't plan or anticipate anything that happened. I was waiting for you to give me some material to work with, and I worked with the material you gave me. Of course, easy for me to say because I've spent the last, 20 months obsessively reading The King in Yellow and designing a game around it. But still, this is the kind of game which is mostly pick up and play, mostly improvisational, and like how the Call of Cthulhu game doesn't require Cthulhu to appear in each game, nor does the King in Yellow game require the King in Yellow entity to appear. But before talking any further, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to especially thank our Kickstarter followers for, pledging. We're a little over 83% funded. We have 8 days to go. Or I guess by the time you watch this, it's 7 days to go. It depends on whether you're watching it live or on my YouTube. But we've got some time to go. So if you're waiting to see whether you should back it, please back it. Please, you're gonna get an amazing game, an amazing work of literature. I've got some short stories I've been working on for many months, and I'm gonna put them there. And there's also the original King in Yellow stories by Robert W. Chambers in an appendix. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff. But let me not hog the spotlight. Let me thank my intrepid and amazing players. Amazing players. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna go in the turn order from Franklin to Wanda to Reagan to Nate, and please introduce yourself. Feel free to give a spiel about the thing you do that you work on, where we can find you, And and thank you again. Y'all are so awesome. I'm so grateful. My heart is bursting. It's like the Grinch grown 3 sizes. Please, Franklin.
Yeah. My name's Franklin. Go by Space Osric on Twitch. You can find me on my Twitch channel sometimes if I feel like streaming games. I usually just stream games. I also hang out a lot on Persephore's Twitch channel. He does Super Smash Bots, and yeah, give me a follow and like and subscribe, etc.
Do it. Wanda.
Hi. This was Wanda, an actor and an artist based in Chicago and Seoul sometimes. I still don't have all the handles of my YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, so I will just have somebody write it down somewhere. Is that possible?
Yeah, we'll post it. We'll post it in the doobly-doo, as Matt Colville says.
Doobly-
We'll post it in the
Yes.
description.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Wanda. And Reagan, please.
Yeah, hi, my name is Reagan. Once again, where you can find me, I am mysterious. I can't be found anywhere. But really, this Discord, I am oregano, but yeah, I don't really post anything, so I wouldn't try to find me.
You're a friend of mine and a cool person who has played in my games, and you graciously volunteered to be part of this. But you don't have a thing on, yeah. And Nate now is yeah, please.
Again, I'm Nate, and I am D&D Basics on TikTok.
Yeah. By the way, I did notice D&D Basics on TikTok, and I like it. I'm PhD&D on YouTube, and I'm a little channel growing. But I must say, if you like my channel, you should check out Nate's channel on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok yet. Still trying to figure out how to do those vertical shaped videos, with all the editing I do. The program I use only releases them in this way. But, if you like my stuff and you want to see stuff like it on TikTok, you can check out Nate's stuff. He's just getting started, but he's got the same sort of brain for game design that I've got, and so we're compatriots here. You should check out everyone who's all these folks. I'm very grateful to all of you, by the way. Franklin, Wanda, Reagan, and Nate. Thank you so much for playtesting this game. We actually got through it more quickly than I anticipated. I had assumed we'd go till 10. I think one thing that we did that shortened the playtime was that I skipped a part of Act 2 where you're supposed to consult the King in Yellow the second time. I've noticed a lot of people skip that. And I think it shortens the game, but it kind of makes sense for game flow. So we might revisit that in the final release. But does anyone have any? And please, if you have critical feedback, we want to hear that too. But does anyone have any feedback, comments they want to add, any ideas or reflections on the game? I want to say that all of you played awesomely, and I had a lovely time, and this was so cool. But I would love to hear your perspective.
It seems like Reagan has been frozen, and she messaged us that she had a fun time.
Oh, I'm so sorry you're frozen. I guess the pallid mask got to her. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I for one, I enjoyed the improvisational aspect of it. It was, it was tough sometimes coming up with things on the fly, especially when you're like one of the things you're coming up with was like motivations for your character when you're not really sure what those even should be. But it kind of adds to the absurdity a little, to kind of just whatever pops up in your head, just throw it out there. So yeah, it's fun. And the checks, it was very simple, and it kept the flow pretty nice. So yeah, I liked it.
Oh, that's great. It's good to hear. Definitely. There's intended to be a simplicity to it where you don't have. I mean, as I said before we started playing, this game doesn't have tactics. It's more like storytelling. But yeah, that does mean you have to think of a bunch of stuff on the fly. We are definitely challenging the player and not their character sheet, which is a popular thing to do these days, I think. But enough of yeah, my editorial. I believe Nate has some valuable, cool stuff to say.
Coming from earlier playtests, this definitely felt like what it seems like you're going for. It's definitely less mechanics, less character sheet focused. Like other than tracking chat like my stress, I didn't even look at my character sheet. I was more focused in the game and what was going on and what other players were doing, and I really like that because with some of these other TTRPGs, I am very focused on my character sheet.
Yeah, you can play this game while keeping track with tally marks, really. It's mostly as long as you know what your kind of power is and you're willing to extend your imagination only within the bounds that seem appropriate within your social circle, you know. But yeah, I do feel that this was an excellent playthrough, that it did exemplify the strengths of our game, and the weaknesses that our game has was made apparent, or were made apparent, but not because we ran into them as an obstacle. It was just more like, hey, have you noticed that all of the gameplay is us making shit up? I'm sorry if you were looking for the game where it's like, I can move 3 squares, but if there's an enemy next to me, I have to move 2 squares unless I expend one of my square points, and then I can move 3 squares, but then I lose a square point and I have to spend another square point to attack them after I move at least, right? It's like, we're not that kind of game. We're not a asset. I mean, I enjoy resource management games. I run 5e twice a week and I play in it another once a week, but like we want a story game, you know. So y'all played amazingly. I was really I was worried about how this would go because we're filming it and it's going to be part of our thing. But, you know, like I didn't even have to worry. This was just so great. This is great. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Very grateful. I'll find a way to like include your. I'll put your names in playtesting if that's okay in the credits.
Sure.
You know, I mean Franklin and Nate already have credits, but I'll add Wanda and Reagan. But I don't know. Any other things before I let you go because it's getting late and all that stuff?
Just thanks for having us. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes, I had so much fun.
This is great. Are we still recording? Should we stop recording? If so, what are we doing?
Yeah, I can switch over to the thing. So,
Let's switch off. Thanks. Bye, everyone. Let's all wave. Goodbye.
Bye all.